everybody. Welcome back to Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center. You know me, I'm Mary, and today we have the wonderful and magical and beautiful Katie Ford.
Hey, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for having me and having me a part of this journey. I'm pumped.
You're going to be a pretty integral part of this whole thing because you're doing quite a few things out at the retreat with us, and this face is going to be the first face that you see every single morning.
Every morning, yeah. For intention setting and meditation at Meditation Rock, I cannot wait to be the greeting committee for every day with the sun.
And at Meditation Rock, basically what this is at 6:30 in the morning. This is sunrise intention setting that you're not obligated to go to at all if you're not a morning person. But I think that you would really get a lot out of going because the most important part of your day is deciding what you want out of your day. And so Katie's going to be with us at Meditation Rock at sunrise, where she's going to be helping us set our intentions for the day. Can you tell us a little bit about that or what these intentions are?
Yeah, absolutely. So the intention setting is going to be very broad. So I'll present some intentions that I've thought up that are based on the themes of the day. So, like for Yang Day, maybe that is releasing or containing or gaining more energy. Maybe for the Yin Day, that's like an intention in stillness or reflection. Um, and then we'll go from there and I'll open it up so that each individual person can set their own intention. So it's not that I'm this little birdie in your ear saying, this should be your intention. It's whatever feels the most connected to your spirit and the most integral to each and every person's journey through this retreat. And so it'll be a really lovely little thing as we greet the day and we greet ourselves each day.
I love that because there is the big umbrella of the space itself and the retreat itself and what the facilitators are bringing. So we do have the hot fire yang day where it's more about the masculine energy and shedding and things like that. So that's a good thing for them to understand and have an intention of while they go through those ceremonies and rituals. But then also underneath that umbrella, there is themselves, what they personally want out of all of this and what they are hoping to get and expecting to get. And that's super, super important too. So we're excited to facilitate that you're facilitating that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a really lovely thing, even though it's super early, but just starting your day so that those intentions can trickle down throughout the rest of the retreat day. And so that your intention flows through everything that you do.
I feel like we want to define intention.
Yeah, we can define intention. So I think intention kind of has a different meaning for everyone, but kind of how I look at intention is how I want to feel and what kind of lens I want to have on the day. So I know we talk about rose colored glasses sometimes, but I think there's something to be said about intentional glasses. So kind of putting a little shade on your eyes of I want to feel and see and use this intention throughout my day. So maybe that intention is peace, or maybe that intention is just positivity. And then that's how you see your day, and that's how you see everything going forward. And then you use that intention and you pick things from each day. Maybe you see a bird fly over and you feel like that's a sign or that kind of thing, and that's your intention. It's like it's a little thing you carry with you to make it all make your day make sense for you. Yeah.
I love that. And speaking of intentions in that particular way, each facilitator coming has been asked to have an intention. Earth and Star as a company, as a spiritual center, as your modern day spiritual church, has an intention of bringing you home, of helping each person open to themselves, their authenticity, what's inside. This particular retreat itself has an intention. That's why it's called I Shine, because we want to bring that shine out, the authentic person inside, and lose all of the gunk that we're carrying around with us.
Mhm.
But each facilitator within this particular retreat also has an intention. What is yours, Katie?
So my intention that I came up with when we were talking about this retreat was peaceful integrity. Um,
Mm.
First thing that kind of popped into my mind, and I think it's a poignant intention. And I had a second to sit with it last night, of like what it really means to me of peaceful integrity. Um, and it feels like a moment to still your mind while holding space for your truest self to come through. And I think with that, with our intention setting and our meditation, um, as well as the yoga, it is moving and greeting yourself in a way that feels like listening to what you and your body need in that moment and what your body and your soul is asking of you. Um,
And
and
is that your idea of the integrity about them moving in a way that feels right to them?
Exactly, yeah. So the
Yeah.
integrity is purely moving in a way that feels good for you and doing things that feel good for you or feel grounding. Or even that integrity is moving in a way that feels challenging. Maybe you do want
Mm.
to challenge yourself. And I want to instill that all the way throughout the meditations and the yoga of some pieces might be more challenging than others and might be challenging for one person versus another, but they're all accessible to everyone. And then everyone can kind of get their piece out of it, and feel grounded and seen and whole and supported at the start of their day.
Beautiful. And then right after intention setting, I think that we have like an hour after
Mhm.
intention setting to kind of get ourselves together. You guys might be seeing me looking crunchy at 6:30 a.m. Maybe we'll see, because I don't know. But we have about an hour after that, so far in the schedule, before we move straight into um chanting, mudras, and then your part is the yoga,
Mhm.
breath work, the kundalini opening, those sorts of things. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that part? So you're gonna see her twice, first
Just
thing in the morning
Whammy.
before breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be really lovely. And I like that you mentioned that there's a little gap between the meditation and the yoga because I feel like that gap is important, to kind of sit with and chew on what that intention you set was in the beginning, before you bring it into the yoga room, or the chanting and that kind of thing. Um, with the yoga, I'll touch a little bit on my background. I am a registered yoga teacher 200. I got my teacher training in October 2020, which was a huge saving grace for me during that time. Um, I had always wanted to do it, and then the opportunity presented itself to complete my teacher training, and it could not have come at a better time since the world was fraught, as you can imagine, and as we all experienced in 2020. And then I took that and I became a weekly yoga teacher, in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I did that for about 2 years. And then I moved to Florence, which is where I met Mary. And then I taught yoga at Rustic Raven and I taught yoga at Balance Yoga Studio there. And then life transpired and I made my way to Dallas, Texas, which is where I live now. Um, and I've been focusing on my personal practice lately, and just kind of committing to that and committing to what my body needs and what my intentions need. Um, but what I plan to bring to this retreat, yoga wise, is yoga that feels accessible for everyone. So I want everyone to come into the space and feel comfortable and confident that their body is a yoga body. Every body is a yoga body. And will move in a way that works those kinks out, while also opening us up to the greater magic that is what we can feel and the stillness that we can feel after moving through our body. And we'll definitely use some kundalini postures and breath work, as well as some Shakti movement, which is my favorite. Um, Lots of circular flows, lots of circles through the hips, just to kind of wiggle it all out. Um, and then we'll also do some breath work as well, which is one of my very, very favorite things. And I I think a lot of the breath work will have to do with balancing the yin and the yang, because we'll be experiencing so much like fire, so much heat that we'll have to cool that off as well.
Mhm. Beautiful. Let's back up for 2 seconds
Mhm,
then. So for those who don't know, what exactly is yoga? I know it's a very common practice nowadays
mhm.
where everyone's like, "Oh yeah, this workout class." But I've taken your class. And while it is a bit of a workout, it's not a workout. Yoga is not a workout. Can you tell us about it, like what it is?
Yeah, for sure. So the term yoga is a Sanskrit term that actually means to yoke. And to yoke means to bind, and it's to bind your body and your breath,
Mm,
all into one. And so that's the main intention of yoga. If you're doing nothing else in a yoga class but laying there in shavasana and breathing, that's yoga. And yoga is so many other things outside of just the asana, which is the movement portions, the postures. Yoga is pranayama, which is breath work, and pranayama means life force. It's the thing that sustains us. And yoga is being kind to your neighbor. Yoga is cleaning your house. Yoga is all of these other things that encompass a beautiful full life, outside of just getting sweaty. So yeah, yoga is all the things.
that's beautiful. And Shavasana is the rest portion at the end, which is my favorite
Mhm.
part.
Yes, the best.
The meditative portion where they're like, now that you've beaten your body to death, lay there and see what missions
Exactly.
comes to you.
And it's amazing. Sometimes I add shavasana at the beginning and at the end, and it's really interesting to see how much easier you're able to lay in stillness at the end versus the
Mhm.
beginning because you've moved through and your body has that opportunity to go, oh, finally, I did it.
What is the importance of doing this at the beginning of our day before we go through all of these other fire ceremonies and emotional processors and all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's important to do it at the beginning of the day because it helps shake off the residual gunk, essentially. So, especially on that first day, we might be coming in feeling stress from traveling or stress from our regular lives. And so, that first day, we just kind of shed and release all of that yuck through our yoga practice and move and feel safe and complete in our bodies before we move into the more in depth healing and those sorts of things. Um, and it'll be beautiful and important on all of the days, especially like the yin day, where it's more about settling into yourself and listening in that stillness and femininity. Um, I think it'll be really special to move in a way that opens us up to be able to receive those things.
And for those of you who don't know, this particular retreat is very well rounded because we have one day more dedicated to the masculine healing, and we are all feminine and masculine beings, all of us, no matter how you present through your uh, physical form. On the inside, we are masculine and feminine, and we bring the fire and the coolness and the light and the darkness together and work these in 2 different days. So in one day, like I said, it's more of that masculine in the heat, and the day after that, we're doing more of the feminine and the cool and the receiving. So one day is more about building and giving and shedding and putting out, and the other day is more about receiving and flowing and just being silent and still inside of yourself. What does you mentioned the breath and how it means to yoke to your breath, And that in itself completely shifted the way that I think about yoga, because that's what meditation is.
Yeah.
Meditation is coming to your breath. It's like you can observe yourself without attaching to yourself or what you think you are or what you think your thoughts are. So, can you tell us more about the breathwork portion of this?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like how you described the yang and the yin and how we're going to work through those. Because I think, and that's just touching back on what you just said of like, I think people hear the masculine and the feminine and they might be intimidated by that. But it's such a magical thing to realize that we are both sides of this whole. We are light, we are dark, we are masculine, we are feminine, all together in this one beautiful little package, each and every one of us. Um, but onto the breath work of it all. I love breath work. There are thousands of different breathwork practices that we can do. I definitely think on the yin fire or the yang fire day, we'll do maybe breath of joy, which is a very energizing, lively breath where you use your body in all kinds of ways. Breath of fire, which really builds heat in the body. And that's like a quick inhale, exhale. And then on the yin day, we'll probably do a cooling breath where you roll your tongue up into a little taco and you breathe in and it actually cools your body down.
Ooh, that is
Yeah,
cool.
it's fun. I know. So you breathe in through the little taco and then you breathe out through your nose. And if you can't roll your tongue, you can still do it. You just kind of stick your tongue out. And so all of these different little pieces, they help turn the thoughts off because you're focused on what your breath is doing and you're focused on how it feels in your body. And maybe you're focused on if you're doing it right. And that helps click the little parts of your brain that are like, oh, but you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you blah, blah, blah. It kind of it takes you out of the head and into the body.
Mm, mm. So a lot of this heat building
Mhm.
is what Kundalini breath and Kundalini movement does.
Mhm.
Would you like to, for those who don't know what that is, would you like to touch on that for a second and what that energy is and what it does in the body and why we want to build that heat?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Kundalini is a branch of yoga, and it's one of the ones that might be more visually identifiable for like practitioners. So, if you've ever seen like a yoga class where everybody's wearing all white flowy outfits, that is a typical Kundalini class. But that is not the only thing that Kundalini is. Kundalini is based around the idea or the concept that there is a snake at the bottom of your spine, and that snake needs to be unraveled, uncoiled through the use of movement and breath work. To allow yourself to open up and be able to receive and feel the most fluid and free as yourself. And Shakti has a lot of that same energy. There's a lot of, with Shakti, you do circular movements with it. And with Kundalini, you do more like pumping movements in that way. So, like, there's a lot of, say you're in a seated cat cow in Kundalini, you inhale forward, exhale back, and you do that for a solid 5 minutes. It can be very challenging, but it is so rewarding. And you really move through it and you get done, you go, oh, wow, that felt amazing. And you feel kind of opened up and like you have the space to feel all the things that the world is offering to you.
I have a question, and it might
Mhm.
sound uninformed. When you're talking about the feminine day, you're talking about Shakti, who is the counterpart to Shiva,
Mhm.
right? Which is why it's named Shakti.
Yeah.
So, is there why then? And you, I don't know if you even know the answer to this. Why is the masculine more about Kundalini versus Shiva?
You know, I don't know the exact answer, but if I were to infer an answer, I think Truthfully, I'm going to bring some Shiva into the fire day, to the yang day. But I think it has to do with the challenge that is Kundalini. And I think that Kundalini has so many different facets. Like you could take a more feminine facing Kundalini class versus a more masculine. It just depends on what the intentions of that class are.
The Kundalini itself is more all-encompassing to masculine and
Yes.
feminine, but it's more about the fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
I understand. When I hear
Yeah.
Shakti, I know that we're doing a feminine flow.
Mhm.
She's the gal, the Mother
Yeah.
Mary of India. So like I understand who she is, and just so my own brain wanted to kind of put those into little pegs so that I have control and understanding of what's happening, but I
Yeah,
don't. And
for
I
sure.
so I
Yeah.
just erased the board.
Yeah. The beauty of it is that they're all connected. So the Shakti is nothing without the Shiva, and the Shiva is nothing without the Shakti. They hold each other up, they support each other. Um, and in order to maybe feel ready for the yin, you need the yang to move through that stuff, that stickiness, before you can sit in the stillness. Or,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Burning that all away before we can receive and
exactly.
have space. Like you said, we have to make space in order to be able to put things inside of us. Can you and so the breath work helps us raise that heat, make that space, remove those blockages. But what about the people? You have a very broad range
Mhm.
here. So we have some older people, we have some younger people, and we have some people who maybe aren't capable of doing yoga at all, or even maybe having the use of their legs. So how are these people, how are you going to handle such a broad class? I have zero doubt in you, though, because I have been to your classes and they're pretty all encompassing.
Yeah, so that makes my heart so happy to hear it that you felt my classes were so inclusive. That's really that's the environment that I want to create. Like I said in the beginning, everybody is a yoga body, and everybody can do yoga. It's and like we talked about before, yoga is not just about the asanas. It's not just about the postures. That's maybe 1% of what yoga is. And so I want my class to feel accessible and inclusive for everyone. I love props. We'll throw blocks and pillows everywhere. And we'll make sure that there's space for everyone to be able to move in a way that feels comfortable to them. And if, say, someone might not be able to get on the floor, or they might not be able to have use of their legs, or those sorts of things, I don't want those to feel like they're prohibiting them from practicing. There's so much you can do with just your breath, or just your arms, or just sitting up tall, rolling your shoulders back and feeling your power. And I think all of those things are equally amazing and equally magical, even more so than just the asana practice.
I really like the crow pose.
Mhm.
I don't know why, it just feels really fun. So maybe one of our last days there, we can throw that in there just so I can have fun watching you do a crow pose.
Yeah, for sure. I love crow pose. It's one of my faves, and it took
Are
me a
you
long
bringing
time to
in
hear it,
versions?
but I got it. Huh?
Are you bringing in versions?
I can bring inversions. I totally can bring inversions. We can play with being upside down. Mhm.
So maybe not every day or have to, but I think they're fun to watch.
They are fun, and I mean, technically, any time that your hips are above your heart is an inversion. So if we're in a bridge pose, or if we're in down dog, those are all inversions, that might be more accessible than maybe putting your head on the ground. But we can definitely have some fun with it. We can take flight for sure.
I love that. Is there anything else that you feel we need to know about what you're bringing to the yoga and breathwork side of this? Because this, like I said, everything we've talked about so far is just what she's bringing before breakfast, guys.
Yeah. I think one thing that I do want to touch on is that if any of our participants feel maybe disconnected from yoga or maybe feel like, oh, I don't know if this is for me, I'm an open book, I'm an open forum. So you're more than welcome to come to me and ask if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, before or after. I love feedback and I love trying to work with people to find exactly what the right thing is for them. So I don't want anyone to feel um, like they're going to be left out of the thing, because I want everyone to feel included. And I would pick everyone first on the dodgeball team.
We'd all get picked. Very inclusive.
Yes.
The last portion that Katie's going to be bringing um, is around the drum circle elements. So a lot of what you've done in the beginning of our days is all kind of there in the beginning of the days before breakfast. But then on our second day there, we are having a large drum circle before we do channeling with the spirit of the mountain. So Katie is going to be the person who helps facilitate the drumming. So there's something to be said about just throwing everyone together in a pile and saying, feel with your heart and drum.
Mhm.
But there's also something to be said about the breath work, the meditative practice of the drum, connecting to the heartbeat of the earth as it rises and falls. Because when somebody is in that state, they come into a flow state.
Mhm.
And the flow state is what opens you to have visions or receive downloads. It's what connects you to the earth. There's so much more to a drum circle than just hitting a drum. There's
Mhm.
there's reasons that we come here. Once we're in that flow state, we can get into a transcendental state. And since this is happening right before the channeling as well, the purpose of the drum circle, aside from connecting everybody in the group to each other, to the earth, and to their own transcendental collective states, is to raise the energy of the mountain. Once the spirit of the mountain is raised high enough, it can be channeled to
Mhm.
receive blessings. So, in order to raise that energy high enough, we have to come into a cohesiveness among the circle. So, not everybody is just playing something random on their own, but each person connects with the next person in the beat that they're playing, and it becomes one cohesive transcendental piece that brings that spirit up so that it can be channeled for blessings. So, Katie is going to be the person who, before our drum circle, we're working on this schedule maybe before or after we do our luminous warrior paint,
Mm.
is going to be teaching everybody a couple little simple drum patterns. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So the drum patterns will be very easy to follow. They've actually come from my middle school days when I was in a drumming class. So they'll be pretty simple, and I like to have my beats line up to like words. So I have one that is a beat that's walk the brown dog. And so you just tap the middle of the drum for walk, and then the brown dog is the edge of the edge of the drum. So you kind of get two different sounds from it too, and it's something that you can keep repeating in your head, almost like a mantra. And so if you wanted to switch those words around and say something that was intentional for you, you totally could, and turn that into a meditation, rather than a simple walk the brown dog, walk the brown dog. Which is a really lovely thing. And it helps you keep that beat, even if you start to go into, like you said, the flow state where you're kind of somewhere else. You can use that beat and those words to tap back in and find that beat once more.
Absolutely. We've been a part of many drum circles and facilitated many drum circles. There was one drum circle I did attend um, where I was not one of the lead people, and there was someone else there who was channeling at the same time. So they were channeling, And so I was part of the drumming to bring it in. And we were doing something similar. It wasn't Walk the Brown Dog. It was something about ice cream. Do you know that one?
I feel like I know that one. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but I do feel like I know that one.
It was something about ice cream. I don't remember, but it was hit the middle and then a couple on the rim, similar to what you just said. So I was and we're going and going and going, and it's getting heightened and heightened. And I feel, because I am a channel, the spirit come in that person's going to be channeling. And I was like, and I went into my transcendental state. And then like, I completely forgot I was drumming, but like, the leader of this drum circle, he was sitting there like, come on, keep up. And I was like, okay. So like, the energy coming in, and I was like in this flow state, but the remembering the words was
Mm-hmm.
helping me keep grounded into the earth and our circle at the same time, so I didn't float off. And
Yeah,
I was able to remember
absolutely.
the words to keep drumming. Yes.
And with drumming, like it's easy to get off beat, but once you have those words, you can find that beat once more, especially when there's two different noises. So when everybody else hits that middle part, you can hit that middle part and catch back up.
I love that, because it is good to be able to be creative, to add in extra beats or take away
Mm-hmm.
some beats so that you can play with your own sound, your own emotions, your own feelings, your own voice. But then remembering the connection of the circle you're creating, you're listening to other people, you're becoming part of a team and part of a group there that really becomes very cohesive and lifts that energy. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about that?
I think the only thing that I have left on the drumming is that anybody can do it. Even if you feel like you don't have rhythm, you got it. It's something that we can all move through, and then once that powerful main line that we have that beat through, everybody can riff on it and do some fun stuff and add a little extra oomph that calls to them. So it'll be really fun. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited too. And not everybody in the group has to drum.
Mhm.
If drumming just really isn't your thing, guys, you don't have to. You can
Yeah.
dance instead. You can run around and scream. You can jump over the fire. You can
Yeah.
do whatever you want to do with all of this. A lot of the time with the drum circles, I like to start by the drumming, and as it gets heightened and heightened, I want to run around the fire. I want to dance.
Mhm.
I want to scream into the fire. I want to release. So this is something that, even though we're starting with connecting to the heartbeat of the earth, the more the energy comes up, the louder you can get, the more wild you can get. You're going to be in your warrior makeup, your warrior paint. So you might as well just be expressing yourself and creating this wildness for yourself, where you're
Yeah.
allowed to just be whoever you want to be in that particular moment.
Yeah, own yourself, tap into your truest self and give the space for that. Yeah.
The integrity.
The integrity. Yeah.
Peaceful integrity. So thank you so much for bringing the peaceful integrity to what we're going to be doing here, through the wildness, through the flow, through the releasing of blockages and the receiving and the heating up and the cooling down, just flowing through all of this. It just feels good. I feel like I'm kind of riding a wave just thinking about it and talking about it. So Katie says that she wants to give us a treat today.
Yeah, just a little treat to kind of give you um, a little taster of breath work that's very apt for this time of year, as like 90% of people are sick. And if you're not sick, you're fighting sinus issues and you're just all stopped up. Everybody's stopped up. Um, and so this is a lovely breathwork practice called alternate nostril breathing. And before we get into it, since we've been kind of chit chatting, getting excited, I kind of want us to take a second and just settle into our bodies. So if you're sitting in a way that your sit bones aren't completely grounded onto your chair or wherever you are, find a way to do that. Maybe if you're standing, watching, listening to this, ground yourself down on your feet. And if you feel comfortable to do so, you can bring your eyes to a gentle close, or you can lower your gaze to the ground below. Shrug your shoulders all the way up to your ears, And then drop them down the back on an exhale. Inhale, fill yourself all the way up. Exhale, open the mouth, let it go. Now you'll take your right hand, you'll take your two peace fingers to the space between your eyebrows. You'll take your thumb to your right nostril and your ring finger to your left nostril. Take an inhale through both nostrils. On your exhale, plug your right nostril, exhale out of the left. Inhale through the left. Plug the left nostril, exhale out of the right. Inhale from the right. Plug, exhale from the left. Inhale left. Plug, exhale right. Inhale right. Plug, exhale left. Keep going on your own breath. This is a really beautiful breathwork practice for balancing the two sides of the brain. It's also a really lovely breathwork practice for balancing the yin and the yang energy, which is very on theme for what we're doing. Inhaling and exhaling, finding your sync. We'll do 2 more rounds. On your next exhale, drop the hand away. Exhale out of both nostrils. Inhale through both. Hold at the peak if it feels good for you. For 3, 2, 1. Exhale, let it go. Maybe blink your eyes open if they were shut. Come back into your day.
That was beautiful.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Namaste.
Namaste, indeed.
I had a vision.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And if you're going to get me breathing, I'm going to have a vision because I'm visual. So it looked like a giraffe. And so then I kept breathing and I was thinking, okay, well, what does a giraffe mean?
Mhm.
My vision was really honed in on the long neck. And so what I picked up from that was as my energy lifted and moved and balanced, that the giraffe was showing me a short picture of the future. Because if a giraffe has a long neck, it can see further out
Yeah.
than other animals who are closer to the ground. And I was like, okay, well, what am I seeing in the future? And I kept watching this giraffe as I was breathing, and it just looked like there was an orange ball of sun behind him. And I was like, okay, is this bliss, this love, this peace? And I heard power.
Ooh.
So
I
I really
have
feel, yes, so I really feel like even though you're bringing peaceful integrity, what
Mhm.
it's really tapping people into is the power that they hold in their future and how powerful they can be in themselves, in their bodies. If we think of being really open and grounded and all of this stuff really brings strength to the
Mhm.
inner self and to the physical form as well as the emotional and mental form. So I see power in the future.
I love that. I think that's beautiful. And I think power is often thought of as this like big macho thing, but there's power in everything. There's power in stillness, there's power in silence, there's power, of course, in strength. That's really lovely. I love that. That vision made my heart just pitter patter.
Thank you so much, Katie. I'm really excited. Guys, she's flying in from Texas to see you guys and greet you guys in the morning and to help open up all of these blockages so that you have room to receive and become a more grounded, peaceful, integritous, powerful person within yourself. So we hope to see you in June. Thank you so much, Katie, for coming. And we look forward to doing many more things together in the future.
Thank you so much. I can't wait for June.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be so
Bye,
good.
everybody.
Bye.